Hey everybody, this is Brad at Pisces Pet Emporium here. Today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorites here, and that's going to be the pink-toed tarantula, also known as avicularia. Now, let's just jump right into this with an individual care guide. Today we're going to be going over husbandry, we're going to go over housing, we're going to go over feeding, and we're going to go over the dangers of using a light for this species today. Alright everybody, so first things first, we're going to talk about the setup and the actual tank itself. So first things first, let's get right into the importance of ventilation with this species. So we're going to take out one of my temporary setups out right now, and as you can see, ventilation wise, I have holes along the bottom rim of the substrate, as well as I have ventilation up top. Now, this species actually has its own acronym, SAD, sudden avicularia death. That usually comes from one of two things. That's going to be without cross ventilation, the bottom and the top ventilation that allows for air circulation. The air is going to sit in there, and with the humidity that this species needs, it's actually going to become pretty gross, and it's going to become very toxic to the spider. They breathe that in and they pass away. The other way is that it's the complete opposite. They get dried out, and that's when you use a light. For an adult avicularia species, or pink toe, we here at Pisces Pet Emporium recommend this guy right here, which is the mini tall. Now, one thing you do have to keep in mind with mini talls is that you will have to get a piece of fiberglass, drill some holes into it, and attach that on the inside where you have this mesh. Now, tarantulas can actually get their feet stuck in this mesh, and they'll freak out and try to jump off. So, to make sure that doesn't happen, we recommend taking a piece of plexiglass and just siliconing it in on the inside there, blocking his way to get to said mesh up here. As well as you can see right over here, we have that cross ventilation that I mentioned. You're going to want to use Repti soil all the way up to said ventilation here. The reason we recommend the Repti soil is it is a topsoil, sand, carbon, and peat moss mixture, which allows to help keep in the humidity for your tarantula. Now, these pink-toed tarantulas do need quite high humidity, about 75%. That's why we recommend using a combo meter. The combo meter allows you to maintain proper temperature as well as proper humidity inside of the tank, as this actually reads both. Previously mentioned, I recommend keeping them at about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit and about 75 to 80% humidity. Making sure you have one of these inside of the tanks will give you an accurate representation of what that is. Furthermore, you're going to want to use some sort of moss in the tank in the bottom, again, to just help out with any water droplets in the tank, as well as to keep humidity up. Baby avicularias will also use any moss you add in their little tanks to help out with drinking water. That's actually what I'm going to go into next, is I really like these Pangea baby gecko feeders. The reason I like them so much is that they're small and magnetic. Now, all you gotta do is pop this out, discard it. We don't need it, we just need this. And because it's a magnet, it allows you to attach it right on the inside near the top of your tank. Now, this is an arboreal species, and they do still drink, but these guys will actually only drink from in an arboreal area. So giving them one of these guys filled with water is going to be the most effective way to make sure your tarantula is drinking. Now, to segue into that, give your tarantula a water dish. For the most part, here at Pisces Pet Emporium, we do not recommend water gels. We do not recommend adding a little bit of gravel into the water. And we definitely don't recommend adding a sponge. Tarantulas need a water dish. They need to drink. They can't use cricket gel to drink, as they have mouth. So if you're going to give them water, which you should, you just use a plain water dish. I like to use RO water, but you can also use dechlorinated water as well. For some decorations in the tank, you're going to want to use some sort of vine. I like these silk vines here, as it allows them to web them up and climb over them. As well as we have cork branches, which are fairly easy to break apart and fit inside of the tank for lots of decor and climbing space. The other thing they seem to really like too are the cork rounds. It allows them to get inside of them and kind of web up and make a nest. This is actually one of the best places to have your tarantulas molt, as well as if you plan on breeding, they'll lay their egg sacs in a round as well. To give them sort of a block of sight, we also recommend a cork flat. Now I do recommend all three, flats, rounds, and branches, to give them a very accurate representation of their wild. Now these guys are a South American species, so they do come from the trees in and around the rainforests, so we recommend lots of foliage in there. The more you give them, the happier they'll be. So for the most part, that's going to be your basic tank setup for these guys. I want to segue into some other little tips and tricks, feedings, and then we'll also get into handling one of the spiders here to show you that there's nothing to be afraid of. So some other really good items to have in your arsenal when keeping tarantulas here are going to be, my very favorite is the willow oak leaf litter. Now, this is a very excellent way to actually involve some enrichment in for your tarantula enclosure. Just put a nice layer in on the bottom of it, which allows a nice cushiony area for where you can have them roam around. They can get in and under the leaf matter, as well as it also allows pockets of water for drinking as well. Now, this is an arboreal species, so it might not be so necessary. This is actually more of an aesthetics thing for you. Giving the tank a nice new layer of substrate, which will allow a really nice look for the tank. Moving forward, I'm also going to be recommending for an adult pink toe, some of these guys here. So, dubia roaches are some of the best feeders that you can give any captive insectivore. Well, here in Canada, they're banned. Yeah, but Flukers and other brands have decided to basically vacuum seal live ones. So this has all of the beneficial nutrition of all of the dubia roaches in a nice little compact way. Now, obviously, for this little guy here, you're not going to be feeding these, but for an adult female, this would be a really nice, big, healthy treat. I recommend maybe one of these every 2 months or so. That's if she'll take it. Try it out and see if she'll take it or not. If they do, great. If not, no big deal. Stick with superworms and crickets. Segueing from there, I also recommend some sort of mister bottle to keep up with humidity. You're only going to want to use an RO or an RODI water for your tarantulas to really help out with any sort of hard water stains, as well as the chlorine isn't so great for them. So fill this guy up with some sort of RO or RODI water and mist down its enclosure once or twice a day, depending on what your combo meter says. Remember, you want 75 to 80% humidity, but as long as you have that cross ventilation that we went over, that high humidity should not be an issue. Alright, now enough about talking about pink toes. How about we handle a pink toe? So, quick disclaimer before we handle. Pisces Pet Emporium does not recommend handling tarantulas at this size unless you're an experienced keeper like myself. If a tarantula falls a pretty high distance and hits a hard surface, they actually tend to, well, explode and die. So if you are going to handle your tarantula, please know that that is something that can happen, especially at this size. So how about we go right into handling this species? I'll show you how to take it out of its enclosure and how to properly handle it, and then we'll put them right back in. Remember, handling should only be done when necessary or if you are an experienced keeper. As you can see, you're just going to want to go in there, gently touch the back of their legs or their bum, and slowly scoop upwards. You want to keep talking away from the tarantula as well as any sort of fast-moving air. They don't tend to like sweaty hands, so as you can see, she kind of avoided me for a second there. But as you can see, she's starting to become a little bit nicer. You're just going to want to slowly sort of juggle her back and forth with your hands. And just like so. I really cannot stress enough how great these animals are as a pet. So many people fear these animals when there should be no fear with them. They're absolutely gentle and they're an amazing species of spider. So as you can see in this video here, the pink-toed tarantulas are an excellent spider for your first one or your 10th one. For beginners or advanced keepers, I firmly believe that every keeper needs a pink-toed tarantula in their collection. They're handleable, they're easy to care for, they're a beautiful spider as an adult, and as you can see, they're one of my favorites. So why don't you come down to Pisces Pet Emporium and have a chat with me? I'm the tarantula guy. I have just over 8 years of experience with these guys, and I personally have a collection at home. I maintain and set up all of these guys individually for a grab-and-go system. All you have to do is grab the tarantula, I get you set up, and you go home. There is no extra setup or care, as each individual cup that I make is going to be perfect for that size tarantula at that moment. If you guys have any other questions, call us or come on down and have a speak with me. My name is Brad. Enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and thanks for watching.